Hola! Hola! Welcome to another edition of Tom Brand One Darts, live from the SUV, the peanut mobile of the family, Peanut's car. Remember, before my kid was born, I called him Peanut, our little Peanut. Well, nonetheless, here we are from the luxurious, comfy SUV, and we're going to chat. We're going to do, I don't know, what do you call these? Do we call these like, it's not a podcast. Maybe do we call it a vlogcast, I think, for lack of a better word. Vlogcast, perhaps? Maybe vlogcast would be good, right? A vlogcast. Videocast, maybe. It's still lack of a good word for this. Video. But here we are. Talking, and just, we're going to be talking about cool stuff. Not really. We're going to probably be talking about some boring stuff. And I did these before earlier on the channel some time back, and I kind of just want to reintroduce them again, kind of maybe do one once a month here. You know, I did one last month. That was all about traveling, and this one will be things that ruin a good time, or events or circumstances that ruin a good time, and just talk about it, and I welcome your thoughts, your comments as well. And by the way, if you don't know what this channel is, this is a channel that covers pretty much everything and anything, a little bit of everything. I do a lot of trips that you will see that I still have. Actually, I have 2 trips, kind of places that I visited that still have yet to be put on there. So I haven't done that. I put on this channel rather, and I talk about nostalgia. I talk about TV, shows, memories, and all that good stuff. So anyway, that's what this channel is about. So do take the time to subscribe if you haven't. Promise you it'll be fun. It's a little bit about everything, right? Current events too. I have another channel if you like sports, that's smarkchat, and what I like to call comedy, like short stories, short sketches. I've started doing like short little sketches or short little jokes type of deal. It's cool. The Tom Brand one. Check it out, please. Please. Yeah, so, I mean, things that ruin a good time. I think what a lot of things centers around ruining a good time. And I know, especially if you live, like, in the bigger metropolitan cities like New York, Chicago, Boston. And I think, a city that has the most problem with this is California, and that's traffic. Traffic always ruins a good time. And New York has its share of traffic too, but traffic just definitely ruins a good time. It's like you kind of like, give you an example, that's how traffic, you kind of just it can just mess you up. Like let's say you're at a concert, right? And you go to, you're at a concert in New York, California, wherever you go. And you're at a Bruce Springsteen concert. He's singing all the hits, all the tunes. You're waiting for that last song to play, Born to Run. That's the last song that's going to be playing. That's to top off the concert. But then you're thinking to yourself, maybe I should leave early to beat the traffic. Maybe I gotta skip on the run this time. Leave early to skip the traffic. So that's when you know traffic is bad. You find yourself like already panicking on the ride, getting to the ride back home. You think about the ride that it took to get to the venue. Then you think about the ride going back home. And you're at this concert, you're at this Bruce Springsteen concert, someone that you spent a lot of money to watch and to see. You're thinking to yourself, man, I gotta leave this concert early because I gotta beat the traffic. And now, really, when you do that, if you think about it, like a sporting event or a concert. If you have this idea, these large, big places, these sporting venues, are you really beating the traffic? Do you not think that all these other people are thinking the same thing you are? Now, if you want to beat the traffic, that's when you have to leave an hour early. That's how you're going to beat the traffic. But who would want to do that? And then equally as nerve-wracking as traffic is, equally, and don't you find yourself too, like I find myself with traffic, especially, it's like you start breaking out in sweats where you leave what you think is more than enough time. You leave so much earlier because you know you got to be at work at 9 o'clock, and you're like, if I leave at 7, I should definitely have no problems. I'll give you an example. I work about 15 miles from work. Not a bad commute, right? 15 miles? Not a bad commute. Shouldn't be a bad commute by any stretch of the imagination. Do you want to know how long this commute takes? An hour and a half. An hour and a half for 15 miles. You know why? Because I pass a major airport, major highways, exits, on-ramps, off-ramps, and there is the traffic. "15 miles, hour and a half, 2 hours sometimes." So then what happens is, we have our smartphones and everything like that. Because everyone hates traffic. We try to avoid the traffic at all costs. And what we do, we find ourselves downloading Wave, trying to get the scoop, the shortcuts, and then we find ourselves going through. Waze is telling us to go through the back streets. We're going off the highway, on the highway, off the highway, back streets, back onto the main road. And then you get stuck behind a dump truck, behind a garbage truck on a residential street. Good luck. There is your traffic again. The traffic, you could run, but you can't hide. And I think what goes hand in hand with traffic is parking. Parking. Nowadays, households don't have like 1 or 2 cars like the olden days. They have 3 or 4 cars now, even more at times. So imagine if you live like in these bigger cities like New York, especially like in the 5 boroughs of New York City, where you have condos, co-ops, apartment buildings, multifamily homes. So now how many cars you have on the roads and taking up these parking spots. Those will definitely ruin a good time, because when you go to a place, you think about, where will I park? And when you find that parking, because parking is so scarce, and due to the fact that a lot of people drive, and mostly safe to say that a lot of these people should not be driving. Whoever gave them a license, you're pretty suspect of their judgment. But when they are driving, when they're not driving, they're parking horrendously. So when you find that spot, and when you see that car taking up 2 spots because they couldn't park the right way, excuse me, that's when you know. And that's when you start cursing and flapping your gums, because parking sucks, because people can't park. They take up 2 spots, or when they take up 1 spot, when they pull out, they don't know how to pull out correctly. And when they pull out, sometimes they scratch and ding your car. Right? Am I right, or am I right? So parking goes hand in hand with traffic. Sometimes too, or have you guys ever experienced, usually where you're going to find the most problem parking, like a classic example of parking chaos is parking at a mall, right? And I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this, where you're parking in the mall parking lot, and there are no spots to park. So you're looking around for somewhere to park, and you see someone coming. This has probably happened to you guys. So you see someone coming out of the mall, and you're like, oh, okay, this person has some bags. They look like they had a good time. They had a swell time. It looks like they're ready to call it a day. They probably took a car, so let me follow them. Let me follow them. That way I could get their spot when they pull out, because geez, there's nowhere to park. And then you're following these people. Have this happened to you? I'm sure you have. You're following these people. They're, too busy texting. They have a pretzel from Annie Says that they're from Auntie Anne, rather. Annie Says, that's a clothing store. They got a pretzel from Auntie Anne's and munching on that pretzel. Texting on the other hand. Bags just dangling off their arms from stores and all the shopping that they've done. They're distracted, and they go to the wrong aisle. Meaning, because of their distraction, not being able to put down their food or their cell phone, they've walked into the wrong aisle. Meaning, their car is not there. Meaning, they have messed you up completely in getting your parking spot, and now you'll be back to once again complaining, cursing, knocking the steering wheel, saying that you should never have come out in the first place. Parking issues will always, my friends, ruin a good time. Always ruin a good time. What will ruin a good time too is I was talking about concerts, right? And I don't know about you guys. This day and age now, everything is social media, and people are on their smartphones, cell phones. What ruins a good time is a lot of people are not able to live in the moment. Meaning everything that you see, you go into a concert, going to a ball game. You're at a ball game. You're distracted by everything else. You're distracted by the screen. You're distracted by the food. You're ordering chips, candy, beers, soda every other minute. You're chowing down. You know, you're looking away from the field. You're looking on the right side, the left side. You're not watching the game, what you came for. So, and then you find yourself distracted. You've just wasted your money. You're ruining your good time. Because you can't experience it. You're at a concert. You're too busy trying to record everything and put it on Twitter, on Instagram, as opposed to just enjoying it. That will ruin a good time. Will ruin a good time. What else ruins a good time is, and I personally never understood this, why people do this. I wouldn't. A lot of people like to have romantic dinners by the beach. By the beach for a nice romantic dinner. Maybe a little picnic. Bring a little wine. Watch the sunset. But then next thing you know, and maybe it's even a first date with someone that you have, right? Oh, toll increase at MTA. Effective MTA bridges and tunnels. Effective 3/1/31. What will ruin a good time is things going up in prices. Your commute to work in which you're stuck in traffic. And then when you're not in traffic, you're trying to find parking, which is hard to do. And then on top of that, your tolls and your tunnels to get to and from work will be raised on March 31st. That will also ruin a good time. But on to my train of thought. What will ruin a good time? So when you're on that beach, romantic dinner, lunch, whatever it may be, watching the sunrise, sunset, whatever it may be, and then bugs, a bee starts flying around. There goes your romantic moment. And then next thing you know, if it's not a bee, it's a seagull. You just shoot away the bee, and now it's a seagull trying to get your food. You're fighting that seagull. Fighting that seagull. Trying to scare it away, and guess what? You scared it away. But out comes a duck. Yes, you're by the lake, having a romantic dinner, and out comes the duck, and that duck takes your bread that had your expensive deli meat. Takes your bread. So your romantic dinners during the summer, or during the warm weather, could be ruined. And it ruined your first date impression. It ruined your chances of scoring. Ducks, bees, seagulls will ruin a good time. That's always a given. Ruining a good time is, hanging, like going out and going out to a bar, nightclub, and you're always with that one person or two people, whatever it may be, that always, for whatever reason, just seem to attract negative energy. They're not looking for it, but someone always seems to pick a fight with your friends. And then your friend expects that you will have their back, when all that you really care about is unwinding on said Friday or Saturday night. So you don't want to deal with it. You just rather, I think I'm just gonna leave now, because you don't want to deal with a fight. Who wants to deal with that? So having that friend that constantly gets into fights will always ruin a good time. Same thing where you're in Atlantic City or in Vegas, and you're hanging out with your buddy, who is the buddy that always makes out with everyone at the bar or nightclub, and then you are awkwardly just staring into space as your friend makes out with said person in a makeout session, and then you worry about if this person is gonna be sharing a room with you and your buddy in Atlantic City. And if they are, you start worrying about yourself. You start thinking to yourself, I'm going to need to find a new room. And how are you going to find a new room that late in the day? You might not find anything on the main strip. You might find something off of the main strip. But at that point, it's best to stay clear. Maybe sleep on the casino floor if you don't want to deal with your buddy that's always making out with someone at the bar or the club. Always ruining a good time is it's like an it's an epidemic, right? I don't know if you guys deal with this, but is it so hard? Is it so hard nowadays to clean up after poop? Poop crisis. People do not like to pick up after their poop. Their pets poop. And there you are in the winter, it's a nice warm day out, nice breeze, trying to enjoy the weather. And you open up the window and you get a waft of poop. Now you might be saying to yourself, that has to be a lot of poop to smell that. You're right. It does happen. People with their gigantic dogs in the metropolitan area that shouldn't be having gigantic dogs. If anything, they should be having little lap dogs, because where you're going to keep a gigantic dog in the tri-state area, but they have these gigantic dogs in there all over the place. So that's a true story. So you just see poop everywhere, and you try to avoid the poop. So if you don't smell it, you're trying to avoid it, but sometimes you just are thinking about what you're going to eat for lunch that day, thinking about what to wear for tomorrow, thinking about anything that you can imagine, and you're not paying attention to the sidewalk or the street, and you step in poop. Ugh. Now your shoe smells like poop. You're on your way to work, and you don't have extra sneakers. You don't have extra shoes. So what do you have to do? You have to get a stick and clean the poop. Yuck. That will ruin a good time. And then, once you clean off the poop with the stick, guess what? How are you going to wash your hands? Where are you going to find soap? Yeah, you might have a water bottle. You might have water on you. But where are you going to find soap? And then your hands are smelling, stinking of poop. Things that will ruin a good time. I don't want your time to be ruined. No one wants a ruined time. But what I do want you to have is have a very good day. And we'll speak very, very soon. Hope all is well. And I hope you enjoyed our little chat. Adios.